Hello everyone, welcome back to my Let's Replay channel. Once again, this is Andrew T coming at you. And not exactly no shave November, but new haircut, new shave. Let's see what we can do with this week's two games. So it's a little bit of a sequel themed video this time. We have Hand of Fate 2, we have Space Pirates and Zombies 2. As always, we'll start with the first video I did, which was Hand of Fate, and go on right into Space Pirates and Zombies 2. So, starting out with Hand of Fate 2, I played this originally on the PlayStation 4. I mentioned that in the video earlier. I think it was a free download in one of the PSN Plus months. But it was talked about by a couple of reviewers, and I believe Total Biscuit. And I was intrigued. I liked the ideas behind the game. I like the fact that it was procedurally generated depending on what kind of cards you had after the beginning, and you started to kind of build your way through the maps and the areas you can go to, and also the resource management with the food, your health, and the money. So the only thing that was lacking in the first game was that it was kind of the fighting was definitely not up to par. They tried to use the aspect of the Arkham Asylum games where you have the dodge mechanic and block mechanic and all that. And I can say for this sequel they have improved that a little bit, but I don't know if it's just because the game isn't optimized well, or I doubt it's my PC, because my PC is a really decent one. It's not top of line, but it's decent enough to play this game, which is not a very big download. And as you can see in the game, there was still lag and slowdown for a game that should be going about not twice as fast, but at least 1.5 times faster in the combat mechanics. So that's a little bit knock against it, but I played a little bit after the video was over, played through another level, and it reminded me why I kept on playing this game on the PlayStation 4 back when I got it. It's just fun to pick up and play. And there's no save option, but you can start a new game anytime you want. So you can't save scum, which is good. But anytime you go back to it, you just press continue and it starts you right where you left off, no matter where you are on the map. But it's very good in the fact that the stories, even if you haven't seen them before, for the cards you get, and you start over, if you haven't seen it before, you only want to pick up a different card just to see what you're going to get or what the mechanics are. And the cards you do know, you can kind of take them and apply them to your map, and hopefully you'll get those more often than you get the combat cards. And after a while, you do get used to the combat with the enemies and what weapons and what the best ways to go about attacking and defending. So I'd have to say that this game is a lot more of the first, but it's not a bad thing. But I would have liked to seen it work a little bit better right now. Like I said, it just came out recently, so I don't know if they're going to have another couple patches. So I can't really hold that against it just because the performance isn't 100%. But for what I'm doing right now, I'm going to have to take a little bit off my score just because of that small fact. But it wasn't huge, but it is noticeable. So the storytelling, the narrator, I guess the games master you can call him, or the dealer in this case, because he does basically deal out all the cards for every round and everything. It does have some very decent voice acting from whoever is voicing the dealer, and some of the things like the companions you get and the different aspects of the game and the cards you get are definitely keep you coming back. And that, if you're into games like this where it's roguelike in a way, and that it's procedurally generated, but if you die, you get to go back basically to the spot that you were at before and try again with not a new deck, but at the very beginning of the level, and possibly a new layout of cards. That's the exact same thing they did with the old one. So from the graphics standpoint, since it is an independent developer, it's not a AAA title, the graphics are still good. Still decent. They don't give you a whole lot of character creation options, but I guess that has to do with the optimization as well. They don't want you having all these options to try to put into, because every battle you go into, every time you go into a little mini map to either fight enemies or go through dungeons, traps, wherever the case may be, I guess the less options you have, the faster it can load and the easier it can be for the game to get those levels loaded for you, because it's not a long time to load, but it's a decent amount. So it's not fast, but it's not too slow. So it's kind of in the medium range there, which is, I guess, a point in this game where it's a recurring theme. It's in the medium range. It's not too expensive. It's not a AAA. It's not a pixelated indie. But I can say, if I had to give this a score, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10, and that if you like games like this, you like the first one, I'd definitely pick this one up. It was on sale on GOG.com and Steam. So for the sale it's on, for the hours you're going to get playing through it, the decent mechanics and the battles and the sheer variety of the cards you get, even at the beginning and the first 2 levels, are definitely worth it picking it up and paying for it right now. The only problem right now that doesn't get higher for, oh, this is such a great game, I would definitely go out and buy it right now no matter who you are, is that it is kind of in a niche, and for the people that like the first one. It's not something that everyone's going to like, but if you like the fact that there's there's a great number of options, not a ton of options, but a great number of options for the paths you can take and your loadout of your character. And the fact that the graphics are good, but they're not AAA, but they're not indie bad. They're not pixelated like some of the other games that just want to throw the mechanics at you and try to use your imagination to make up for their lack of graphical quality. So that's why it's a good to buy, but it's not a must-have right now. So, like I said, 7 out of 10. I'm going to keep this on my PC and play more of it later. And with that, we'll go on to our second game, which is Space Pirates and Zombies 2. Now, like I said in the video, I played this in early access, and you got to play through the whole game, story-wise, and all the way up to the end with the base mechanics. And, like I said before, the base mechanics of it. So I pretty much knew what I was getting to whenever it finally launched this past week. And they did add a couple new things. Just new mechanics and new encounters, things like that add to the overall of the universe that you're in. But if you just want to go through it, it's really easy to do, especially if you played before or you're familiar with the mechanics of the space flight and everything else, and the shipbuilding aspect of it. So when you start out basically, with only a couple number of base cores and base weapons, and then you go out, you try to do your best against guys that are around the same level as you are, and then from then you finally get upgrades, and you get further on the story, you get to build your first base. And then the place where I was at is that you get to build your bases around wherever you want to, and also attack other factions, as you're also trying to defend against the zombie outbreak that's happening right now, and it will gradually get worse and worse the longer you ignore it or don't curtail it. So in this game, I was originally part of the red faction, which is right next to the orange one I was attacking before. So I'm on pretty good terms with them, but right now everyone hates me because the zombie outbreak happened on my watch, so it's something I'm going to have to basically grind out until the end of the game. And that is one of the detriments of the game, and also a good part of the game. The detriment is that you have to grind everything, to your levels, to your bases, to your equipment, and everything else in between to upgrade your ship, so that way you're not dying in every encounter against, every ship out there that has better equipment, or bandits, or just freelancers that decide you're easy pickings. You always have to kind of stay in your own area and just build up. And you can go out there and attack enemies that are slightly better than you. But as you saw in my last battle against the Starbase, where it said threat level high, yeah, no matter how good you are, or how many ships you have, or how powerful your ships are, even if they're 4-star or better, if you're outmatched, and you could see the ship I was attacking just constantly, its shields didn't even go down, and I basically just threw everything I had at it until I had to reload. And even with my wingman with me, he wasn't high enough level to help out that much. So it's just I'd say it maybe 45 to 50% through the game right now, just because the last half of the game is just this. You just go around, get more territory, build up all your fleet, and then when you think you have enough, you go in and try to destroy the last base of the zombie outbreak. And that's how the game ends in early access. How it ends in this one, it's probably going to be the same. So if I had to give this one a score, I'd have to give it... gosh, because I love the space battles, even because it's not fully 3D, because there's so much coming at you and there's so many weapons that it's hard enough to do that on a 2D plane. And I kind of like the way they do it, in that, because 3D is really hard to do. Just ask any space simulator. That's why so many of them are top-down or just on a two-dimensional plane, like Rebel Galaxy, which is a great game that's basically a clone of the old Privateer game from DOS back in the day. But anyway, not to go on another tangent, but this game is good in the space battles in that you don't have to really do anything except for a 360-degree, just 2D plane, and your ships are good at what they do in the combat, and you can level them up and everything in between. And the graphics are good. They've definitely upgraded from the first game, which had basically a top-down. But one of the things that is a detriment to it is that, one, it's a grind, and two is that you can't really, it's hard to get around in the map. There's three speed modes. One's the lowest, one's the highest, one's in between. But the highest makes you burn res a lot faster, and res is really valuable. It's more valuable than scrap, because you can get, I think, a 1,500 scrap for about 200 res at least, maybe even $2,000 depending on what base you're going to, how good your status is with them. And that's what I didn't like about the early access version of this game. Was the second half of the game was that in order to expand, you pretty much had to attack other factions. If you didn't, and try to just take over all the other freelancer areas, there are always bandit camps everywhere. So that helps in that people like to farm those, but it kind of hurts in that you're fighting for resources from everyone. All the freelancers want your stuff, so they're going to go and take your resources. They're going to try to attack your transports. So you try to help everyone you can on the freelancers aspect of it in the early game in their area, and just try to stay in that area, because if you try to go anywhere else, you're starting from square one with your faction status on what they think of you and all those other things. So time-wise, if you really want to do the whole thing and just go around and try to 100% it, you can't. I tried it in early access. I tried to get as much territory as I could, and basically you have to get the outliers of whatever factions around you and all the freelance area you can, and just kind of build up your fleet that way. But then the problem is that the zombies get really hard at a certain point, and it kind of reaches an equilibrium where they get a section, everyone else has their sections, you have your section, and then finally when you just max out your ship and level, you just got to go to the end game. There's really nothing more you can do, because when you try to expand to one other section, either the zombies get you and whittle you down, or the other section will basically take their territory back. So I can't say that's for sure at this one, just because that was the early access part of it. But from what I've seen, they haven't changed a ton from the early access, other than adding a couple more mechanics that you can do on the overworld. So, like I said, a couple detriments is that it takes forever to get anywhere if you're going from one side of the map to the other, unless you want to burn your fuel. And the other is that once you get to I guess you could call it the end game, which I'm at right now. It's a long end game, but it's not exactly the most enjoyable thing unless you like the grind. So it's almost like another niche game where if you like the first one, you'll enjoy this one, and if you like space sims like Rebel Galaxy and where you level up your ships and everything like that, you'll enjoy this one as well. But the voice acting is decent. I missed Total Biscuit from the first one. He was definitely the only voice actor in the game. Everyone else was just dialogue on the screen. But yeah, if I had to give this a score, I'd give it another 7 out of 10, just because it is nice to have, especially now that it's out of early access. If it's on sale, I would definitely recommend picking it up if you like the first one, or if you like this type of game. But it's not a must go out and buy just because it is an above average indie developer that's put a lot of time and work into it, but it's not something that is for everyone. And some of the aspects of it can turn some people off. So it's above average. It's definitely get it if it's on sale. If you liked it the first, if you liked the first one and you like games like this, you're gonna pick it up anyway. But if you're on the fence, I would definitely wait for a sale. If it's like $5 or $10 off, I'd definitely pick it up then. Anyway, thank y'all so much for watching my Let's Replay vlog review. Once again, this is Andrew T coming at you. What a great day for a replay. Y'all have a good one.